think we are live now.
Hey!
Hey,
Are we live now?
we
Go
are.
ahead and tell the people what happened.
Man, the devil tried it, but it's all good.
He tried, didn't he? Well,
Tried it. Oh my gosh, that was insane. We were like supposed to have been live 45 minutes ago, but we got it now and it's all right.
it happens.
Things happen. So we are live now. I know people are like, she said 7 o'clock. Well, it's 7 o'clock somewhere, just not here.
It happens.
So everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Speaker Podcast. I'm your host, Camille Estick, and I'm here with my brother and friend, Brandon Harris. Brandon,
what's happening, Miss Lady? What's going on for the second time around?
You have not been here since season 1. So first of all, I want to say it's so good to have you back.
Thank you for having me back, Miss Lady. Thank you. Oh, if y'all tune in on Facebook, I see y'all looking at me. I'm going to turn it around so y'all can see her too. Y'all can just watch it off of the camera. There y'all go.
Oh, you are so funny. You are always hilarious. I don't care when. I don't think there's
I don't be trying to be.
I ever laugh, like ever. So, first of all, I want to give a plug. My friend Sephora Pratt, she sent me this really cute sorority mug. So hit her up on Instagram at Pratt's Designs. Shout out to her, Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you, Sephora. Can they see you?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I was saying. I was trying to make sure they could.
All right, cool. And first of all, we are here because you've written this amazing book. What is the name of the book? And let me know about it. Let the listeners, the viewers know about it.
Yeah, so the book is called 7 Days, The Journey That Never Ends. In short, it's a book about my life, my observations, just things I've gone through, me just doing the best I can to disarm people and let them know, hey, look, this is who I am. This is what I've been through. If I can make something myself, literally everybody can. It's not just one of those quasi BS statements. So I'm telling you guys, I am one of the worst of the worst. Those men you read about in the Bible, I have done some of the worst things, but for some reason, God loves me. That's what people will call favor. But if you don't know what favor means, let me tell you quickly. The word favor by definition means undeserving. So I am that, very undeserving of everything. But I think that if you pick up my book, you're going to learn a little bit more about me and the things that I've applied to my life to help me to get to where I am today.
Great. What is doing your world since the last time we chatted?
Yeah,
a little bit, but I want you to let the people know, like.
Yeah. So last time I was on your podcast, I was living in Chicago as the director of sales. Now I live in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, California, promoted to a bigger property, the Staybridge Suites brand. That's what I'm doing out here. I'm out here chasing humility, chasing wisdom, chasing growth. And I think I'm going to find it here. I really do.
Awesome. So since moving to California, and that experience, I know you know about the BART. You know, are you taking the BART? Are you doing?
No, so I'm down in Palo Alto. I could get on the BART, but I don't need to. I ride the bike to work, so 9 miles, like I told you earlier. I commute every day on my road bike, 9 miles to work, 9 miles from work, and that's what I'm down. I'm down 24 pounds since living here.
Yeah, you do look leaner. And shout out to my family in Oakland, the Bay Area, West Oakland. What's up, my people? All of my cousins, Marilyn, Ralston. Going blank. Kalila, what's up, Kiana? Trying to get everybody out there.
Say if you
Mahalo, what's up, y'all? So yes, I had to shout out my family up there. And I know for me, it was a very interesting experience just because the Bay Area is so eclectic. There's so much culture there.
Yes.
The radio station was a WBLX, love listening to them all the time, riding the BART, all that. So I definitely got that West Coast stamp. So yeah.
Oh, let me make sure I do this. Shout out to my man James Billings with the flourish hat. Appreciate you, my brother, for sending me this. I definitely love it, bro. You know me, I'm gonna be rocking that thing, looking good, fam, looking good.
Yes, and be sure to share, like, comment, post. This is about to be a very insightful conversation. Those, if you've not listened to Brandon Harris before, the reason, why are you laughing?
Because you hyping me up.
No, just because you really are my friend and like a brother to me. And one thing I love about you is the fact that you don't hold your tongue. Even though we've not always seen eye to eye on different topics, I do appreciate your honesty is very refreshing, and just your perspective that you bring when you have conversations. So I think in this particular episode, they're in for a real treat. So
I appreciate you. Thank you, Miss Lady.
No problem. In writing your book, there's 7 chapters. You said 7 chapters, correct?
Yeah, 7 chapters, yeah.
Okay, what was the hardest chapter for you to write?
Yeah, so 7 chapters. The last chapter is called Rest. It's the hardest one for me to write because it's something that I've never really done. I've always felt like I've had to go. As I said earlier before, when we were talking before the podcast came on, is that I always thought that if I wasn't working, that somebody was going to beat me. They were going to outwork me. And this comes from years and years of playing in sports. I always thought that if I wasn't getting it done, somebody else was, and that's going to set me back. And so it's been very hard for me to rest in my life. And that's why it was very hard to write that chapter, because I don't want to be a hypocrite. And I don't want to tell somebody else to do something that I don't practice. And so I've had to learn to rest. And that's the only way I was able to write that, was to go through that. And it seems odd, I know, but if you're somebody that's always been a go-getter, let me emphatically tell you today, try on rest for a little bit and you'll see how much you love it.
I really like that. And it's something you said when you're talking about rest and just men in general, to me, and maybe you can help me with this, but it seems like sometimes men can kind of dig into their work, or they're chasing the next zip code or area code or that next tax bracket to live in a certain neighborhood or degree. But it's almost like to compensate for some feeling of inadequacy or something in here. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. I love a go-getter. I love an ambitious man that's a go-getter. But where's the line drawn with balance? And sometimes in chasing this dream, how can you feel like, what is the negative impact it can have on a relationship or in other areas of a man's life?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, I'm going to say I absolutely agree with you that some men sometimes do chase certain things because of the insecurities that they're harboring in their life. A lot of the times you see those things come up in negative ways. Like if he's chasing after money, he's not chasing after that money for purpose. He's chasing after that money because he hopes that the money brings him something, that it's not the money that he wants. He's hoping that the money will buy him that girl, or that the money will get him that car, or to buy him that house. And then it's not even the house. He's hoping that the house will bring him some type of enjoyment, but it can't, because the word happiness is different from the word joy. Happiness comes from a Greek word that means that something has to happen. So if you're chasing happiness, you're going to always have to be doing something, because that's how you get happiness. Something has to happen to get that emotion. But if you're chasing joy, it's different, because joy is something that comes from you. That's why they have those old church songs. If the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away.
Oh,
that's where joy comes from. That's where joy comes from. And I think men are chasing external things because they don't have a self-love, because they don't know who they are. And the Bible says, as a man thinks, so he is. And since they think that they're all these different things that the world has told them that they are, you're too short, so they try to get tall, get stilts in their shoes. Well, you're too fat, so they try to get skinny. Well, you're broke, a girl has told him, so he chases after money, because he instinctually thinks that if I get said thing, I'll get this. Because it's not actually the thing that I want, it's what I'm hoping that brings me. So yes, I agree with you. And I think that it can hinder relationships, because I feel as though let me say, a woman wants to be honored. She wants to be cherished. She wants to, be held and all that. But if a man is chasing after these other things, he will sometimes look and only see his woman as what she can do for me, not what I can be for her in this relationship. And that definitely means that the woman's going to run a deficit, because she'll find herself pouring into this relationship, but not getting anything in reciprocity, basically. So, yeah.
Well, can you kind of unpack that a little bit? Because I kind of like where you're going with this.
The reciprocity, like getting it back?
Yeah.
Okay. So as I wrote in one of my concepts about 2 years ago, I came up with this theory that place, purpose, person. That first and foremost, a man must have his place. Now, my due north is from the Bible. It says, in the beginning, God created Adam and he put him somewhere in the garden. That's the first thing God did, was put the man somewhere. So he needs to know his place in life. Then God said, your job here is to till the garden. So a man needs to know his purpose. Then he is blessed with his his person. And the reason I think it has to be in that order is for this reason. If he knows his place and his purpose and he's faithful to that, God knows he can take care of a thing. Then he's going to be able to take care of a woman. What happens is men get things out of order. Sometimes we go after all these women, and then we try to find the place and the purpose to provide for that woman. And then when she's no longer happy about whatever it might be, I then compound that because she's not happy with something I'm not giving her. So then I spend less time with her trying to go get these things that I think will make her happy, when what's really going to make her happy is me. But because I don't have value in me, I'm trying to chase these things to give to her. And when all she's really asking for is me.
And I'm glad you said that, because I have dated guys before, and I think from my experience, I've had men try to dangle things in front of me, like, oh, I work out, or I work here, I drive this car, I go here, I associate with these people. And anybody that knows me, Cam does not care about your stuff. Because when you strip all that away, who are you as a person, as a man? That's what I'm looking at. Because when you pile all these things on top of each other, to me, I'm thinking, what are you covering up? And it's great that you're really, very educated and accomplished. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at the core person, like, who are you? And so I think with women, and I'm not talking about little girls, because little girls are impressed by cars and trinkets, all that bull crap. I could care less about it. I'm looking at the core person. Because
they're still nice to have, though, right?
Huh?
They're still nice to have, though.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. But at the end of the day, it's the car. How to me does that, how can I put it? How does it translate into your integrity or your honesty?
I can show you. May I ask you? May I answer that for you?
Sure.
If a man loves cars, okay, and he says, well, no. Let's say a man says he loves cars, okay? Look at how he keeps up his car. If there's trash on the inside.
I don't agree with that.
No, hold on. Well, let me tell you.
Go ahead.
You'll see what I'm saying. If a man says he loves cars, and you just met him, and you ask him, what are you into? I love cars. Okay? He gave you a way to figure out if he's full of BS or not. Go look at his car. Is it washed? Is it waxed? Is it clean on the inside? Because his word was, I love cars. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't take care of said cars, do you really love it? If a man says, I love money, but he always has more money going out than he has money coming in, that means he's undisciplined. Now, if a man has his purpose, and his purpose is the cars, or maybe he's in real estate, and so he comes to you and says, I'm in real estate. Maybe he doesn't know that what he's actually telling you is, look at my discipline. Because that's what a woman can look at. If he's into houses, and then you see he's able to manage 10 to 15 houses, you see discipline in that. Now, I'm not talking for the men that are using this as a bragging thing. Oh, yeah, I got a bankroll. No, I'm talking about the ones that have practiced a discipline to take care of that car, to practice the discipline to be able to manage certain properties and manage equities and escrows. If they have the ability to manage those things, that means they're practicing said discipline and self-control. And if they can apply it to that, what a woman then hopes is that he can turn some of that attention towards her. But let me tell you guys something. A man was nothing, and he will never be nothing without his purpose in life. I must say that. If he tries to make that woman his purpose, you're both going to hurt, because the woman will never add up to what he should be pursuing, and that's God and his purpose in life. So if the man's doing it already, you definitely need to talk to him. And it could mean for you, you just ain't never meant to be with nobody. You may not like it, but it may be meant for you to inspire some of those other women that feel like they need a man when they absolutely do not. Y'all don't need us, man. Y'all just want us. And it's because we know that y'all want us that we use that to our advantage.
You think so? Because I have these conversations all the time. And a lot of women that I know, they are where they are because they have not met a man that, how can I put it? They're having to be strong and be the superwoman and be independent, because a lot of men have not taken the steps to get where they are in life. And they're frustrated because they're having to do all and be the superwoman, and they don't want to. And it's like, I want a partner, someone that can come with me and build with me together, versus me doing it all on my own. Now, I don't get me wrong. There are some women I feel like that I know that are emasculating their men, if I can say that word.
Yeah.
Which I don't agree with. I do believe a man should be a man and let him be the man, not being dogmatic or like a doormat, but just, I do believe in gender roles and relationships. But I think I believe in balance. I believe in equity. I believe in fairness. I believe that a man should allow a woman to be heard, you know, in conversation. Like if we're having this conversation in a safe space.
Sorry, I missed that.
Then
could you say it again?
Siri.
Siri's trying to get on the podcast. But just Siri, no. So just being in that place where we're both being respectable or heard or seen, and just having that context, because you and I have talked a lot, you know, in the past offline about gender roles and relationships. Mm-hmm. And I do appreciate our friendship because of the fact that we are able to speak in a space where it's a level of respect given. But in some dynamics, some men feel like, well, because I make this money, I have this degree, and they kind of have a condescending attitude, just like some women, you know, they demean their man because it's like, oh, well, I bring the bacon home, so whatever. So I just think there should be some type of balance or equity in a relationship.
Let me say this now. That doesn't apply to all women, so some of the women watching this, don't beat me up. But here's the thing. It's hard to be a man to a woman that enjoys playing the man. And it's very difficult to do. And I don't know too many men that'll even try to even do it. They'll just say, well, you don't need me. Why should I come around? You don't need me. Why should I be there? What I hope to bring about, and I don't mean this in anybody else's life, just in myself, is you mentioned balance, and that's going to be different from everybody. That's why I'm very slow to say certain things, because I know it's different for everybody. Is different. I hope to show in myself what discipline looks like, because the only way to have actual balance is to be disciplined in who you are and what you want. And the hope is that you find somebody, as I write in the book, that falls into that equally, whether it be a puzzle. Because what I write about in the book is that if you try to put two puzzle pieces together, you know, I'm sure you guys have done a puzzle before, but they look like they're supposed to go together. And you push them and they bend, and both of them bends because it looked like the puzzle was meant to go together. But what you tend to find is that even if you can't figure this out, if you go focus on other parts of the puzzle, you'll end up naturally finding the piece that goes there anyway. But it's that we get so consumed on trying to control this piece of the puzzle that we forget, well, there's a whole bunch more of this puzzle out here to enjoy. And I can always come back to this thing. And that's what I write about in the book, that I hope to provide people that perspective, that stop focusing on this. Stop worried about relationships. Stop focusing on having a man. What you're mad about is that you want somebody to love and comfort you and all that stuff. That's exactly what it is. What else do you need us for? You want us to be there to cuddle with you. You want us to be there to be strong. And you say you want a man, and then the man speaks, but you've never heard his voice before. Now you've heard a man cuss at you. You've heard a man moan. You've heard a man yell. You've heard a man fight. But most of the time, if you ask a man what he's thinking, he generally tells you nothing. Because life has taught him, as I write in the book, that most men don't die when they put us in the ground. No, we die when we lose our hopes. We die when we lose our dreams. And we die when we forget who we are. We die when we're too afraid to stand up for ourselves and speak, because we have been emasculated our entire life, because the majority of men in my life have been raised by their mothers. And for good reason or bad reason, it doesn't matter. When you trace this back to the slave days, the slave woman would tell her sons, don't be so strong, because master will beat you, because she loved her son. She didn't want to. And so they've taught us, they've told us, don't jump off that. You're going to get hurt. Don't do that. And it's not because the women hate us. No, it's because they loved us. But they've never heard us speak because we weren't allowed to speak. If we try to tell our moms no, and she lost her man. But if we try to tell her no, you do what I tell you to do. So we grow up being told what to do by a woman. And so when we try to gain this voice, it's all so foreign to us. We've never heard a man speak. And so when we try to talk, we get over talked, and we'll just say, okay, I know what this is. I've been treated this way my entire life until I was 18 years old by my mom. And so what do? I just go to my room, shut my door, and play with my games. But what the Bible says, when I was a child, I played as a child, I spoke as a child, and I behaved as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. It didn't say childish things vanished. It didn't say childish things disappeared. It says, I put them away. It is a choice to say, no, when I speak, you listen. When I'm talking now. And it's not because what you're saying doesn't matter. It's because, no, I will be heard. And you may disagree with what I'm saying. That's okay. But I'm going to tell you what I think. And if you want to be in this relationship with me as the man, we will do what I say. And it doesn't mean you don't have an input. It's not what that means. It means that somebody set these roles up. Now, I didn't draw the rules if you're a person of faith. I didn't write these rules. But if you're a person of faith, it says the man's job is to lead. Oh, but the woman's job is to be his covering. That's why he takes the rib of the man. What is the job of a rib? To protect the vital organs. Her job is to be here to say, no, that's my man. No, we may argue, but you won't see it. I'm not going to make a scene in front of all you guys because I'm not going to give up a slight inkling of damage because then the next woman will step in. And then his ear will start peaking and he'll be told, I can do what she can't. And he's listening now. So what I hope to offer women is that your job isn't to be the leader. Now, you can't lead. It doesn't mean you can't be a leader. But in the goal of that relationship with this man, allow him to lead. Now, you may disagree. So that means both of you need to start praying and seeking that guidance for the relationship. Not for the pride or ego of one another. No, because we have entered into this agreement of, I took the courage to get on a knee and ask you to marry me. Now, you didn't have to say yes. He submitted himself and asked, why were you dumb enough to say yes? We can't always take the blame and the fall for everything. And I know that's not what you're saying, but you brought up something great and something that I care about. When things go bad, it's always the man's fault. He doesn't get credit for doing what a man's supposed to do because it's expected of him. He's supposed to do what a man does. So we don't get praise. We do when we're little boys from our mothers. That's why Jesus said a prophet is without honor in his own home. Sometimes it's the people that know you most that don't want to praise you. They don't want to lift you up. And that's what I've seen, what I have observed in relationships. When I first started dating you, what happened? You praised me. You told me how good I was. 2 years in a relationship, all you do is nitpick on me. But there's that woman over there on Facebook and social media, and all she's doing is praises me. A man will go to where there's praise. How do I know this? If I'm made in God's image, what does he say? When praises go up, blessings come down. Next time your man is grabbing them groceries and it's only 3 of them, tell him you're doing good. Watch what he'll do. Girl, this ain't nothing. He'll pick up 6. Maybe, and I'm not saying this applies to all men. I'm talking about actual men, those that are trying to be disciplined and practice self-control. You praise him for those 3 bags. He'll carry 10. Because when praises go up, blessings come down. I learned this with my son. He was wearing the Flash outfit for Halloween. I said, son, you're running fast. He said, nope, I'm going to my Top Gear now. And he runs even harder. I'm learning this. It's instilled in us as a kid. If you praise us, we'll do more. Sorry about my rant. I apologize. Let me breathe. But I felt like I was speaking for men in that moment. So I apologize.
No, I mean, this is an open space. And I believe in allowing people to share their thoughts. I'm just listening and just thinking about some things, reflecting on some things. So I'm glad you gave your spiel. Thank you. So
thank you for being here to me.
Thank you. We're gonna come back to that. But what I really want to touch on is throughout your book, because I kind of you're kind of in transition. I would say. Can they see you?
Yeah, they can. I wanted to get that out of your way so it wouldn't bother your pocket.
Oh, no, you're good. So when I met you, you were, I would say, in a transition phase. So when you were playing basketball at Western, which is my school rival, MTSU. Yeah. We won't address that. But, and you were, I won't say you were arrogant, but you were extremely confident in who you were. And now there's like a more humbled version of Brandon. So can you kind of unpack who you were then and transitioning to now and what that process was like? Yeah.
So I'll give you guys an insight to, it's either going to be the next book or the next play. So you guys know it's going to be called The Chrysalis, I think. And it is the story of a butterfly. If you guys are familiar with butterflies, you know they start off where? On the ground, crawling. And they're amongst worms and all kinds of stuff. But something instinctually tells the caterpillar. Now, I don't know exactly what it is. Now, what we've grown to call it, what science wants to call it, that's nature. That's what it is. It's natural. It's nature. That's what it is. Or some have deemed it to be instinct. But whatever we call it, we know that the caterpillar, something instinctually tells it, I ain't meant to be crawling around. I'm meant to fly. Wait a minute. And we don't know what it is. We call it instinct or nature, but we know that it happens. We observe that it happens. And so he starts growing up into trees. And guess what he starts doing? Eating leaves. Now, if the leaf could talk, if the tree could talk, he'd probably be upset and say, dude, why you eat me, fam? And I'm sure the caterpillar would respond and say, look, man, what I'm made to do, we eat things like you, but don't worry, I'm going to pay you back. And the caterpillar does. After eating the leaves of the tree, he then starts to build his chrysalis, not a cocoon. That's the difference. They build what's called a chrysalis. I've been taught different my whole life. They built this thing called a chrysalis. And how it's built is in the regurgitating of everything it has eaten. Everything gets eaten throughout its life up to this point of climbing this tree, climbing this ladder. It starts building the chrysalis out of everything it's consumed. And it builds the chrysalis onto the tree that it ate from. It's almost like I'm giving it back. Let me give you back what I've consumed from you. Now that I've taken from you, I promised you I would give it back. And because you allowed me to take and to part and to have this, I'm becoming something. So what's happened to me is life. I've been eating things. The Bible says, taste and see that the Lord is good. I've been having different experiences. I've been going out and seeing different lives. I've been traveling across the world. I've traveled across the country. I've been humbled. And I'm becoming what I was always meant to be. There's a part on this movie called, not a movie, it's a show. It's called The Get Down. And he says, excuse my French, Shaolin Fantastic says, you know what? Books, if a nigga got wings, a nigga got to fly. What you learn is all I can be is what I am. And if I was meant to fly, I'm going to find a way to get there. Some people, it takes a little bit longer. You encounter the thorns and the thistles. You go through different things. And if I was arrogant, I'm okay with accepting that. As I've told my friends, anything you can give to me, it's okay. I'll wear it like those military outfits. Give me that medal. I'll wear arrogance because it reminds me, you too, Brandon, as my man, and I love Paul. He's like, I decided I think he's my favorite in the Bible. He used to be a guy named Saul, very talented, very well-spoken, charismatic. And he wrote and for me, it's my thing. He says, I count not myself to have apprehended it all. But one thing I do, forgetting about my past and pressing towards my future of the mark of the higher calling on my life. And then he tells us, I have a thorn in my side. And that thorn is a messenger from Satan sent to keep me humble. Who else could write that but Paul? Speaks 5 languages, well known amongst the people. Who else can write? This thing is meant to keep me humble. God has given me my thorn. And I've prayed it away. I prayed it away like Jesus. I prayed it away like Paul did. And the answer I was given, no, my grace is sufficient. So I'm always going to have this thing that humbles me. And that's life. And I'm grateful I now, like Paul said, I rejoice in my shortcomings because when I'm weak, he's strong. So now I'm okay with being humble because the Bible says when you are humbled, God will exalt you. So I hope that answered your question.
It did. Thank you so much. I hope the listeners are getting something from this. This is Camille Essick, and we are here on the Speaker Podcast with my brother and friend, Brandon Harris. He's written a book called 7 Days, and we're going to give that information at the end of the podcast. Be sure to comment, like, share, post on this particular episode. And Brandon, as we're discussing, I guess we call it He Emotions or Man Emotions, the journey of manhood from your perspective and your new book. What do you think was one of your greater struggles or greatest struggles transitioning from who you were to where you are now?
Oh, the greatest struggle is one that is still alive today. Discipline and self-control. The only way to practice self-control is to actually want something, but tell yourself no. That is what self-control is. That has been the biggest struggle this entire time. Telling myself no. I am like the prodigal son for my Bible scholars out there. I am like Thor for my people that like Marvel. I am the young prince that wanted all of mine now. The thing is, I was talented enough to handle it. My character wasn't enough to sustain it. My talent took me places, but my character didn't keep me in those doors. And now that has been my prayer now, is that God give me character. And he told me that a man without self-control is like a city without walls. He has no self-defense. And so that is what I practice now every day. Self-control, discipline, getting up, riding my bike, like I said, to work for the people just now tuning in. I don't drive my car anymore because it's a 9-mile bike ride. And I think that, as I told you, anything that's true in the smallest of things is true in the biggest. And I've been praying and saying, God, look, you told me that if I'm faithful over the small things, you're going to trust me with more, because that makes me a good investment. And so the biggest struggle is accepting my little right now, the little that he's blessed me with, and not getting upset about it, saying, thank you that you even trusted me with this. And I'm going to do the best I can to, bring you back a return. As it talks about in the parable of the talents, I want to multiply what he's blessed me with now. So
that's really good. Do you think, as far as men, when they are ambitious or pursuing things, that they can lose sight on some of the smaller things or relationships? Or how should a man incorporate balance when they are pursuing goals and then will sacrifice other things inside of the bigger things? Or how should that balance, do you feel like, should take place?
Yeah, that's a hell of a question. That's what I was sitting there. Now, guys, I'm not your guru. I'm just going to tell you what's worked for me. Simplify your life. The Bible says, take no thought in what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, what you wear, all those things. So me, I've taken on a new journey for now the past 1.5 to 2 years of minimalism. So I remember having about 50 pairs of Nikes and Jordans dope shoes, all like special releases. And I could have sold them and made a lot of money, but I didn't. I gave them away. Now, I didn't know this at the time, guys, why I was giving them away. But as I have been going through this journey of simplifying my life, owning less and giving things away, I was reminded of a parable called The Young Rich Ruler that comes up to Jesus and says, yo, check it out, J-Rod. Check it out, B. This is how, guys, read your Bible yourself. You'll see what I'm telling you. It says he approached Jesus like he had it. Say, yo, check it out, B. I've kept all the commandments, fam. And Jesus says, yeah, you have. And he says, well, what I got to do? He said, for you, go home, give away all your possessions. And it says that he walked away sad because his possessions were great. And then it taught me something. And then the disciples asked him, well, then if he can't get in, who could get in? Because they're acknowledging he kept all the commandments and can't get in. And then Jesus looks at him and says, with man, this is impossible. But with God, all things are possible. But it's going to be hard for a rich man to go to heaven because of the possessions. And it gives us another parable in the Bible about the good seed that fell amongst the thorns. Now, it didn't say the seed was bad. It said it was good seed. It says the seed fell amongst the thorns. And the thorns represent the cares of the world, the riches, all the stuff that you can have. And it says because he was amongst the thorns, it choked him out. He couldn't become good seed, but it choked him out and he couldn't become what he was meant to be. Own less, guys. Stop trying to do everything. Stop trying to be everything for everybody. You ain't Jesus. You can't replace him. Guys, I've tried to replace God in women's life. Can't be done. I've tried and I've failed many a times. And I hope that this conversation helps you guys to learn from my mistakes. So,
what do you think has been one of your greatest mistakes? And also a question we discussed offline as well. You're laughing because we've had this conversation before. But what do you think has been one of your greatest mistakes?
This is hard, and I'm going to tell you why. Now that I've matured, now that I've been humbled more, if I don't take my inheritance, and what I mean by this, guys, is the prodigal son, the portion of goods due to me, the guy that was given all these talents. I'm hella talented. If you know me, I'm not bragging, guys. I'm telling you the truth. I've always been very talented. But I wanted those talents to benefit me. And I wanted the world. But then I'm reminded of a scripture. What does it profit a man to gain the entire world but lose himself? So my biggest mistake would be putting the world before myself, thinking that in all the world had to offer, that what I really wanted was more of me. That would be my biggest mistake, pursuing the world when I should have been in pursuit of Brandon, because the truth be told, guys, I'm dope as hell, bro. And I know that I am. And it doesn't matter if anybody else thinks that, because I love me enough to know that I am. So that would be my biggest mistake, not knowing how dope I was soon enough.
Knowing your worth and your value.
Yeah.
Question. Good answer. So, second question. Do you think men are physical or emotional?
Oh, goodness. Okay. You want the raw and uncut answer? Honestly? Okay. Are men physical or are men emotional? Okay. To give that answer, I don't want to leave you in suspense. Here's the thing, guys. I'm in no position to answer that. I'm going to offer you guys my perspective. My perspective is that we are both, but we are inadequately, improperly equipped to express said emotion. As I write and talk about in the book, as we had in a conversation before the podcast, many men die before they ever put us in the ground. We die when we lose our hopes. We die when we lose our dreams, and we die when we forget who we are. But that doesn't happen on a singular day. It really happens over the course of 10 to 13 years. You know, you're growing up and, you know, your parents tell you, well, not all men were raised by their parents. You're raised by your mother, but you're told, sit down, don't jump on that, don't do that. And it's like all the things that little boys are attracted to, blowing stuff up, jumping off things. We're told not to do that. And so we're being conditioned. You know, we get to a certain point where we stop doing those things. And then we go out into this world to where the world plays by a different set of rules than what our moms raised us to do. And so we want to be emotional because we see it in the movies. It's the emotional guy sometimes that gets the girls, not those jock movies. Now watch this. The jock always has the varsity cheerleader girl. The jock does. But he ends up losing her by some intellectual dude writing poems and playing guitar, taking on long walks at the beach. She finds that she really likes him. But this is what happens. We as men watch these movies and we try to be that guy. We start off trying to be the soft-spoken, kind. We do. We do. And this is what happens. We get to high school and we try that on that sophomore girl. We do that. We open up ourselves to her. And she tells us, you're too insecure. You're too emotional. And she dates the athlete. And so there's a shift in our minds. We then say, oh, this doesn't get me anywhere. Nice guys finish last. So we then become the jock. We become that guy that's going to stick it to the women. I'm going to make every other woman pay for what this one did. And then we get to a certain point, hopefully, that we have both. We understand that we have to have the balance. We have to become David. David in the Bible killed tens of thousands. I need you people to remember this. When they came into the kingdom, they said, Saul, he's killed his thousands, but David has killed his tens of thousands. David didn't just sling the stone and knock Goliath out. He ran up and cut his head off and raised his head up. Y'all ain't been reading your Bible if y'all don't know the truth. So this little boy was a man's man, but he also gave us beautiful poetry. Go read the Psalms if you don't know what I'm talking about. All those. We have to, become David. We'd knock you out, but we'll also at the same time write a beautiful piece of literature that survives 3,000-4,000 years.
So you said something about men shifting, and how is it that a man can go through different relationships or traumas, and then they get what they've always prayed for, this certain type of woman, but then it's like, I don't want to say it's retribution. It's kind of like scapegoating. Like she's catching the brunt of people before her. And maybe he's handling her like the ex or something, because in his mind, he has a fear like, well, I'm not going to let this happen to me again. So then I'm maybe more abrasive or whatever. And she's like, well, I don't understand why he's being this way when I haven't done anything. Or, you see what I'm saying? Like there may be, and it's just kind of like, from a woman's standpoint, you're thinking, well, what's going on with him if he's being a certain way and I'm not being honest and open or whatever, but yet he's still exhibiting other behaviors or just being a jerk. So, and women navigate these conversations with the relationships or people, and you're trying to figure your guy out, and maybe you don't understand the psychology of men. I know you and I talk offline all the time, and I love picking men's brains, or my guy friends, I like talking to them, picking their brain. And it's not that I'm trying to learn the game, but I just feel like as a person with anything I do in life, you want to make choices out of a place where it's more informative, more educated. So if a guy, let's say I'm dating someone and he's acting a certain way, and I know deep down I haven't done anything. So now for me, because I'm analytical, I'm thinking, okay, he's being explosive in his behavior. Maybe there's something he's gone through, he's experiencing his current state of life where he's lost control, he doesn't have control, or he's angry about something he doesn't have autonomy or freedom in, and it's coming out in a certain way. Not saying that the way he's exhibiting the behavior is right, but I'm looking at not the effect, but I'm looking at the core of what is really going on.
Why? Yeah.
The why.
The root of it, not the symptoms. You're actually looking at.
That's what I was looking for, the symptom. Yeah, I'm looking at the causation of it. And I think a lot of women, because naturally I feel like women are more emotional than men. Not to say that men aren't, but our initial response is out of emotion. And I think for women, a lot of times we tend to talk through a process. Like we'll talk out loud. Like if we're on the phone with our homegirl and then this is and then we come to a conclusion. But if we're talking to our boyfriend or man or husband or whomever, he's heard everything else before we get to the key point of what we said. So by the time we say what we're really trying to express, he's heard all this other stuff. And then it's compiled on top of everything else. So now he's thinking, well, this is what I heard, because men, I think, are more logical, more literal. So things are taken to another place when that wasn't the case at all. It's just a woman is verbalizing her feelings versus men. I feel like over the course of their life, they're not given the environment or the space to articulate their emotion or thought. Like if a boy falls, boys don't cry, get up, or he took my truck and you're crying. It's like, well, go get it back. Go fight him and get it back. You know, so we have different styles of nurturing or emotional communication.
Agreed.
So,
yeah, the nurturing.
So with me saying all that, what is your take on that as far as communication between men and women versus what is said versus what is heard and how that's conveyed?
I'll tell you what came to me. I got two examples I'm going to give to you.
Okay.
Men and women in conversation. The first one I'm going to give you, because of the current political climate, men and women are like Fox and CNN. Depending on which one you watch, you're living in a completely different world. So a lot of times, men and women are just speaking two different languages. That's just how it is, okay? The second one I'm going to give you is something I've learned. So y'all see this hair? Yeah, bro, I've been taking really good care of it. This is the natural, shindig. Yeah. Okay, but I've never really taken good care of my hair, I don't think. And it's not because I didn't want to. I just really didn't know how. But now I'm starting to spend a little bit more time. What type of shampoo, what type of conditioner do I need to use? And I'm learning how the conversations kind of need to take place in the nurturing in the relationship. If you just shampooed every day, your hair would end up being very, very dry. But if you just conditioned every day, your hair would also get very, very dry because you're not washing off the dirt and grime and dust from the day. Or it could end up going to the other side and it's getting very, very oily. You hope to find that balance. Now, shampooing, I would look at is the rough part of washing your hair. You're getting up in here, you're scratching it, you're getting all this old layering that is piled up. But then after you do that, which is necessary, you then replace that with conditioner to soothe it. I think conversations will sometimes always be like shampoo, scraping up the old, getting it out of there, going over things that we may have not discussed. And then we have the moments in relationships of the conditioning. This is when we're rubbing each other's feet, you're rubbing each other's backs. I think we enjoy those moments a lot more because of the disagreements, because we are men and women. Our perspectives are in fact different. But what I hope to live in such a way is that I've been acknowledging that just because I disagree with what you say, or just because I don't like what you did, doesn't mean that you were wrong. The only way I can tell you were wrong for what you're doing is if we have the same morality ruler. And then I would have to be in a moral position to make that decision. Like I said earlier on the call, I've never felt bad about cheating, ever. What I felt bad about was lying.
You said what?
I've never felt bad about cheating in a relationship. I'm about to tell you.
Okay. I'm
Thank you for asking me why, because you didn't rob me of articulating this to you. I've never felt bad about cheating. What I felt bad about was having to lie about that cheating because I enjoyed what I did. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't have done it. I felt bad afterwards because I knew I was about to have to lie. That's why you felt bad. After a man does, he's like, yeah, I probably, yeah, now I got to lie. But that comes from what I learned from me was that was based upon my belief in the Bible. My flesh don't feel bad at all. It's my spirit. And I've had to acknowledge that thus fulfills the scriptures. A man will be at war with his flesh and his spirit. Jesus taught us this. It says he was tried and tempted in every way known to man. But when that comes, you have to be able to talk your stuff. That's when self-control comes in. That's when discipline comes in. You have to be able to practice those things. It's going to be there. And I learned that I didn't feel bad. If I did, it's because of my belief in the Bible. That's why, because I'm acknowledging that there is a spirit in me that knows better, because my flesh wants these things. What I write about this in the book, y'all. What man in his right mind wants to tell a woman no? This is what I want women to give us credit for. And I mean this. This isn't a joke. I mean it. When a man's willing to say you, I want you to understand what he is doing. Now, you may not agree because you feel different. You said it earlier, women are wired different. Let me tell you about a man, because I'm speaking for men, you guys don't have testosterone coursing through your veins like we do. This thing is a dangerous thing. Imagine growing up and you hit about 12 or 13 and something starts changing. You start finding yourself feeling certain. Those girls you used to think had cooties, you're now looking at like, look at that little hump on her. Something happens. It changes. And then imagine you go through life and this is what you are. Your livelihood. It carries you through to be that man that's a go-getter. And then you go through another change in your 50s maybe and start slowing down. And then you're going through another transition of, am I no longer the man? That's why you see these men trying to dress like the times. So they feel like they're losing it. Because the thing they've had their whole life, am I no longer strong for you? We know this is real because we see it in the wild. You see the lion that held his pride down for 15, 20 years. And then the great grandson comes in and it's war. It's my turn to lead. Now they're either going to fight it out and one's going to die and he's replaced. This is the call of the wild. This is what happens. We as men exist in that world. We are physical. We exist in the same world of the gorillas that go to war with each other. The rams that hit their heads together. We exist in that world. We look at women and we are in competition every day. Some do it with money. Some do it by painting. Some do it by riding. We see this with animals. You see the peacock. Now, I'm guaranteeing you, if the peacock had muscles like the gorilla, I guarantee he'd go around slapping people. But he doesn't. He has feathers, so he struts in a certain way. Some today will call that his swag. That's what the peacock does. He notices, I have feathers. I'm going to spread these things and strut it. And they walk, watch them. They walk in a certain way and they say, he's a suitor. He's strong. You look at the penguins, they'll build up a beautiful pyramid of rocks to say, look at my discipline of what I'm able to do to show you I want you. Now, whether women agree with this or not, I'm telling you, we are in competition every day. And it's because we didn't set the rules. This is the call of the wild. It is the nature. What we as men must start practicing is self-control and discipline. I know it's a long answer, but that is as best as I can say it.
So isn't it like a cycle though? Because you do this, but you feel like crap and you may have slept with 5 women in a day or whatever. And then you're doing whatever you're doing or chasing, whether it's money, job, titles, degrees, the gym, another car in the house, and you still feel inadequate. And you can have a good woman and she can love you, but then you're out here acting a whole fool.
Yeah.
So when did you get off the wheel?
That ain't got nothing to put off the wheel. I'm still running on it. That's what I'm trying to tell. Don't take it personal.
No, I'm not.
No, not you. I'm saying in the relationships. Yeah. It ain't got nothing to do. A man can have a great, phenomenal, fantastic woman. If he gonna cheat, he gonna cheat. It ain't got nothing to do with you.
But women do take it personally because women feel like, well,
you take it personal because you want yourself to be on this pedestal. I'm sorry to tell you, you're not. You're not there. You're not going to fulfill him. You are there to be his partner. His fulfillment will come in his purpose.
But a woman's not going to stay for that.
No. Discipline, self-control. That's what I'm telling you. It ain't you. You're there to help him, to protect him. The rib of the woman. What does the rib do? It protects the lungs, the heart. Be his covering. We see this in the wild. You see wolves, males about to fight, And the female wolf will put her head up under the neck of the male saying, I got my man covered. That's what they do. Be our covering. Don't take the nonsense of if he's doing that. If he's doing that, you shouldn't be with him anyway. Stop trying to change him and move on. Me and my boy James Billings came up with a saying, and this is what we said. As we begin to change, we'll either change those around us or we'll change those around us. If some people ain't going to be changed. It's a full-time job trying to change ourselves. So it's probably best to say, hey, man, it was good while it lasted. I got to go. Some men just
women try to love a man out of his behavior, or if I love him enough, or if I'm good, I keep trying to be good, he'll see me in my heart and he'll change. Maybe. And so they stay in this prolonged situation hoping he'll turn around or that his heart will soften. Yeah. And then they're angry because he did this to me, he did that to me. And maybe as a woman, you stay in that situation longer than you should have.
Maybe
and
so.
Realizing that he's maybe in a place of brokenness or going through a trauma you don't realize he's experienced. He's got some other things going on that's beyond you. And no matter how much you try to show your support or how kind or loving you are, or have these little intervention conversations, no matter what you do, how many meals you cook, or how many times you try to drop it for him, he is who he is. And you have to understand at some point, how much are you willing to invest of you and just pull out, take your ball and go home?
Let me say this. Everything you said, I can't quarrel with none of it. Only a fool would try to argue with what you just said. Everything was true. Let me offer you perspective. That's all that I can do. Maybe some of those women stay because they gave their word. When I think about God, I think, thank God he's a man of his word. When you get married, imagine it like a promise. That's pretty much what it is. Some women have said, for better or worse, till death do us part. Now, their friends who aren't married will say, girl, you need to leave. That's why they ain't got a man. Now, I'm not saying she's justified or that she's the one that because she stuck around and didn't know. She has her reasons. What I'm saying is some of them look at that as, I gave my word. And they told themselves that when I get married, if we get a divorce, it won't be because of me. And they have committed to that. And I commend those people, whether I agree with it or not. But I've learned that maybe it's because we are a microwave society in a crock pot world. That back in the day, people stayed married. Now, whether we agreed or not, they may have had all types of problems, didn't even sleep in the same room, but they stayed married. And whether I like it, agree with it or not, I commend them because they kept their word, which is something that I am forever pursuing and forever chasing, is to always be a man of my word, because the Bible says, make every man a liar, because that's what we do. So I am constantly in pursuit of doing what those people do, keeping my word.
And I'm not condoning staying in an abusive relationship or something that's going to put your well-being or safety at risk.
Agreed.
Regardless of keeping your word, I gave my word. If it's a situation where this person could possibly put my health at risk because they're out running around or other things, or even just emotionally abusive, then you have to make that decision. Is this really, are they going through a phase, or is this who they are? And discerning those things and then deciding, am I going to stay, am I going to leave? And you have to realize and understand how much are you willing to put up with, and just take some things into consideration. Because if it's coming to the point where your value, your worth, your self-esteem, your mental, spiritual well-being is at risk, your health is at risk, your safety is at risk, me personally, I don't think I would want to hang around for that.
Jocking the deuces, huh? I get it. No. I'm not here to tell women what they should or shouldn't do. I'm just, like I said, from the perspective.
Honestly, those are factors you have to consider.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But one last question, we're going to wrap up. Yeah. Just you as a man of color, you have two cute little boys. Mm-hmm. And right now, I just really feel like we're living in a time of unrest culturally in America. What are you doing as a father to prepare them? Or in your mind, how do you formulate this conversation of preparing them for where we are right now as they grow up to be young men of color in the country? Yeah.
So to start it off, the first thing I can say is that I'm becoming the absolute best version of me that I can be. With that being said, I'm going to do the best I can to make this as effective and as quickly as I can, because I know we're wrapping up the call. even in the world of let's just focus on ourselves. When I say ourselves, I'm talking about the race of colored people. If that was a thing, let's talk about colored people. I'm going to compare the whole of colored people to myself. Not saying I know everything everybody's thinking, but just as a one person so we can make it simple. If I can't take care of me, it's impossible for me to try to take care of other people. Impossible. If I don't know how to take care of this body, how can I tell you how to take care of yours? The best way for me to lead is to lead myself. And in doing so, people will say, I want that. I'll pick up that and follow him. Okay, now that that's been said, I'll look at our struggles as a people of color. And one of the things I see is that we can't seem to come together and agree on things. And where there is no agreement, what you find is division. Division means two visions. There was one vision, which is vision, you had division. And then it says where there is no vision, the people perish. That could be there's two visions and the people are going to perish because they can't go towards one thing. So they're split. So for me in raising my sons, I'm going to do the best I can to raise them to be men of integrity, to live in such a way that we're not trying to change other people. We're in constant pursuit of changing ourselves. I'm reminded of a scripture when I say this that says, why do you worry about the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye when you have a plank in your own eye? No. Check this. What you should do is take out the plank in your own eye because it'll help you to see clearly to help them with their speck. What I see is a lot of us walk around here blind trying to tell the next man what they do. You're just going to end up falling off a cliff with everybody. It seems like we're trying to tell the rest of the world or the white man, this is what y'all should be doing. But we can't even get ourselves right. When I go into any neighborhood, I was talking to my friend Vincent Know about this. He's an Asian guy. You go into different cities and there's always the Asian district. There's the Chinatown. They got something going on. And when I'm looking around for us, I'm really saying, where's our thing? I'm not saying this is what it has to be. Where's Barbecue Avenue? Where's 10 African-American brothers and sisters cooking it up? And then you can get some barbecue. Then there's the hair salon. I know we got Atlanta. We have certain pockets of this going on. Mm-hmm. But what seems to happen is that in every one of those pockets, not all of them, I apologize. Forgive me of that. But in a lot of those places, it's also crime ridden. When you look in certain places, Chicago, and I lived there, guys, I'm not talking about from the news. I was there. There are certain places that are phenomenal. You go to Harold's, but around those Harold's restaurants on the South Side, there's people getting shot. So it scares people away from going to those places. And I'm learning that we are a hindrance to ourselves. Now, this doesn't justify anybody else doing us wrong, but I remember an African proverb, and it said, if there is no enemy within, then the enemy outside can do us no harm. It's because we're solid. Minister Farrakhan talked about this. Elijah Muhammad talked about this. Malcolm X talked about this. Martin Luther King talked about this. UEP Newton talked about this. This is something that's been going on forever. Their whole thing was, can we get together? But because of pride and ego, when somebody wants to be the man in charge, they want to be the head of the thing. They can't accept that. You know what? I'm okay with not being the man because I'm not him anyway. You can lead, bro. I'm just here to do my job to push us forward. And I think as long as we're fighting to be the head nigga in charge, as long as that's our competition, trying to stunt and shine on the next man because I got the new J's, that creates this thing where I got to shoot you and kill you because I need to have that money. No. What we can then do is say, no, let's, as Jay-Z said in the 4/4 album, take your drug money, buy your neighborhood. That's how you rinse it. This is your block, but you own not a building on here. You have gangs saying, we own this. It's our block. Don't own none of the buildings. So when you die and leave, they'll just put the next family in there. And then the next one. So until we're going to point the fingers and look at everybody else, I'm saying, let us look at ourselves and say, you know what? If they're as racist and as bad as we think they are, why do we keep trying to change them? Why not instead say, let's change ourselves? Because in doing so, the enemy outside can do us no harm.
Very good. Brandon, I definitely want to bring you back. You always have a lot of conversation. So I will reach out to you again because I definitely want to bring you on for some other things I have in mind as well.
I'm humble. Well, I'm glad somebody wants to hear what I'm talking about.
No, I mean, honestly, it's just like when we talk, you know, your perspective and what you bring to the table. Sometimes you'll say something and I'm like, oh, well, I didn't think about it like that. Or I'll revisit a thought or maybe an experience I had and try to look at it from another way. So thank you.
Yeah, well, hey, it ain't me. I'm just the messenger. He the guy. It ain't me, Miss Lady.
So with your amazing book, again, what is the name of it?
Yeah. Hey, check it out, fam. 7 Days, The Journey That Never Ends. It's on Amazon. Go pick it up. Hey, y'all, it ain't great. It's just the best I could do. And what you'll learn about the book I wrote in here is like, I gave it what I had, fam. So what you're getting is literally my best. Like I gave this my best. So you're going to find grammatical errors. You're going to find all that. You want to know why? The kid ain't perfect, fam. It's the absolute best that I could do. And knowing that, enjoy it. So you can get it up on Amazon at 7 Days, The Journey That Never Ends. You can find me. I think I'm supposed to do the plugs now. That's what it seems like. You can find me. Okay. You want me to do plugs? I thought you was about to. Oh, bet. Oh, yeah. So,
you plug you.
Oh, bet. You can find me on Instagram at @IAM_Brandon Harris. Same thing on Twitter. The difference on Twitter, I couldn't get that handle, is I am Brandon Harris, but instead of it being a zero, instead of being an O, it's an actual zero. That's the difference on Twitter. And you can find me on Facebook at Brandon Ray Harris, like Sugar Ray Robinson, Ray Charles, RAY, Brandon Ray Harris. I think, yeah.
All right. Good job. Well, everybody, this is Camille Essig. Be sure to follow me online. I'm on Instagram at Kamikameek. You can also connect with me on my website at www.kamikameek.com. If you missed this episode of the Speaker Podcast, you will catch a replay here on my Facebook, and I'll also have it available on YouTube. And also, just thank you so much for tuning in, and have a blessed day. Bye.